up guys, and welcome to episode 4 of the Lean Machine series. I'm going to answer a few questions now because some of you have been firing them at me and you're a little confused on some areas, and I'm going to update you on other areas. So 1, what is my actual training split during each week? Now the split kind of stays the same, irrelevant to what I'm doing, whether it be contraction, whether it be high volume or a strength week or heavy week. I train everything twice, you got that? Twice per week. You take a standard bro split, training just body parts. If you want to start doing a higher frequency, simply do this. Take your bro split of your chest in one day, you do what, 4 exercises? Take that, split it into 2. You've got that day. You're going to take this part of the day and you're going to put it 3 days later in the week. And you're going to do that with every single body part. So you're reducing down to 2 exercises. You're going to do 4 to 5 sets per exercise, but you're going to do that twice a week. So you're still getting in that same workout, but you're hitting the chest with a higher frequency. Now, because you've reduced that to 2 exercises for that body part, that means you can bring in extra body parts. So you can do up to 3 body parts a day in the time that you were probably just doing 1 or 2 body parts. Same rules apply to everything. 2 exercises, 4 to 5 sets, and then repeat again later in the week. Now what I do is I will do a compound movement followed by a isolatory movement. You can do compound, it's up to you, but just make sure on each of the days there's at least 1 compound movement in there. Completely up to you what you want to do. Again, this is where being intuitive with your training comes in as well. Don't get stuck in a rut of having to do a certain thing on a certain day with a certain exercise. Do the things that you're good at. Make sure that you are getting a good variability in your training. You know, handle positions, bars, dumbbells. Make sure that you're getting a good, well-rounded training session each week. But if something is in there that you really don't like, you're not great at, or doesn't feel good for your body, or is hurting something, stop it and change it. There's 101 other things you can be doing that will still benefit you. Next up, macros. What I'm currently doing at the moment. Now, if you watch the 6-week shred series, you'll know that I dieted for a lot of the year. The 6-week shred was the final diet phase of my year, and that was because we ended up going to Vegas with Quest, and I wanted to get back in shape as I'd just come out of a dieting phase. I was out for maybe, I think, 4 or 5 weeks, and so I dropped straight back in, which was why I was able to cut down in such a short time, because I really hadn't come out of the previous cut, as explained in the series, for those mongoloids who just viewed that one video and then went, I can't do this in 6 weeks, I'm angry at the world. Always do your research before making dumbass comments. And so now, because of that, what will have happened, regardless of how great your dieting phase is, you are still in a deficit, and that is still going to have metabolic impact. So my metabolism will have come down a little bit. So the job during your lean gain is to bring that metabolism back up to your maintenance level and then push it past there. And it's doing that with control and doing it with time and doing it with consistency. So currently, I'm going to be pushing back up to my maintenance, which is around about the 300 carbohydrate mark. And I'm currently going to be sitting at 250 carbohydrates. Now, because we've had a lot of guests over the past week and things like that, we've had a busy schedule going on. What I've been doing is just been eating conservatively. I've been hitting around about 200 carbs. Now this is under my maintenance, well under my maintenance, but it was just a matter of making sure that I wasn't, because we were going out for meals and eating out in kind of untrackable areas, and because I'm not in the gaining phase as such as yet, not into the proper gaining phase, which doesn't really happen until you get past that maintenance, you have to be careful because your metabolism is lower. So if you're going to take high impact meals, you've got to counterbalance for those up to the maintenance level. You've got to counterbalance within your target range that you're allowed. So I balance by doing basically 180 protein, 200 carbs, and around about 60 fat. Now, busy period's done, visitors are over, New Year's is done, Christmas is done. We're going to get on it. Current weight, 176 pounds. I'd say my body fat percentage at this point is probably around about that kind of 10 to 12 range. Very, very, very hard to judge body fat, guys, without having some crazy testing done where you're in an isolation floating tank and having bone density and stuff. So again, it's just going from visually point A to where you want to be, point B, or where you don't want to be, you know, point C, which is be, you know, fat guy. We want point B, muscle growth, low fat. Went up to 181 pounds during Christmas and New Year's, but this was just water weight and obviously just volume of food that we've been taking in, glycogen and stuff like that. I probably maybe put on a pound or 2, if that. I was very clever with my lead into Christmas. As you'll have seen in my previous video, which you haven't seen. I will link in the description below, and it's how to deal with kind of festive periods or periods where you're going to be going in and eating a lot of excessive food and things like that. I did it for the Christmas period, but it applies to any time that you're going to do that sort of thing. So if you haven't seen that, check it out, link in the description below. Back to my macros for current state. They're going to be set at 190 to 200 protein. Then I'm going to be hitting 230 grams of carbohydrate from this day onward, and we're going to monitor weight day to day. We're going to be taking an average of the 7 days. Now, I'm looking for 1 to 2 pounds a gain of weight every month, not week, month. But when you're coming out of a dieting phase and coming up to maintenance, you are going to have glycogen refuel. You're going to have the body taking in glycogen, which means taking in water as well. Now, that is going to add to your weight gain, but it's not true weight gain, if that makes sense. It will level off as you get into the first couple of weeks, but week 1 and week 2, you've got to take them with a little pinch of salt. As long as you know your food's on track, and as long as you're still looking decent in the mirror, this is where visually things come in, then you can take those weights with a little bit of variable. But when you get into weeks 3 and 4, that's when it starts to be, if your weight is going up one pound a week, then you've got to pull it back, or you've got to put in more activity. Or again, it could be a sign you need to address your training. Maybe it's not as intense as you think it is, or maybe there is more volume you could be doing. So I'm going to be doing as I said, 190 to 200 protein, I'm going to be doing 230 carbs, and I'm going to be doing 55 fat. My aim this time is to try and bring my body back up and getting used to taking in more fats as well. I tend to keep fats quite low all year round. I dieted down around about 50 on average, but I do drop to kind of 45, 40, coming up to final peak weeks and things like that. For me, a peak week will have been coming prior into an expo when I'm doing depletion phase, so that I'm able to peak the body for the next few days afterwards, so I look good. They would never stay at that low level for a long period of time at all. You're talking like maybe 5 days to a week. So as an average would have been 50, 55. But what I want to try and do is, mostly off season, I wouldn't really go much above 65. I want to try and push that fat level up to 80 and see if I can maybe sacrifice a little bit of carbohydrate and bring the fats up and maintain a decent look visually day to day. As a rule, my body doesn't tend to like high fat levels. It deals well with carbs, but having to eat a lot of carbohydrates and the sheer volume that goes in, it does tend to leave me feeling sometimes when I get to my peak levels a little bloated and a little bit reliant on more high impact carbohydrate sources, and that's what I want to kind of stay away from in this gain. I want to be keeping my processed and simple carbs really low if possible, so that I'm giving the body a better consistency through the day. I'm keeping my insulin levels nice and consistent through the day, just increasing that level of consistency, and hopefully in turn keeping everything nice and tight, keeping my digestive system happy and just feeling more comfortable. So my goal is going to be, last time I went into the gain phase, I got up to 400 grams of carbs. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to come somewhere between 330, 350, and then I'm going to push those fats up. And what I'm going to aim to do is hit those peak carbs a little bit earlier than the fats, and then bring the fats through, so that at that point when I'm starting to increase fats, I can see how they're really affecting my body visually day to day, whether my body's reacting well or whether it's having a negative impact, and then whether I'm going to make the decision to pull those fats back down and maybe veto the idea of taking them any higher, or pull the carbs back down a little bit as the fats come up and see if that helps counterbalance. But we'll see as we go. This is all trial and error. There is no one perfect way of doing things, but there is a very correct route to take. But that has a number of paths and options as you move on, because there is always what should happen and then what does happen. Now, this route into the gaining phase, as a rule, if you've been dieting for, say, argument's sake, let's make it easy, 10 weeks, it should take you 5 weeks to come back up to maintenance level. That is being cautious and correct. If you come back up to maintenance level too quickly, your metabolism will not be able to deal with the volume of calories you're taking in, and you're going to get excess fat. It's that simple. We want to reduce the fat that's going to be put on, and we do that by allowing the body to grow with the diet and with the training, letting the metabolism grow with the diet and the training. And that is what is really important. Not only is it important to stop fat gain, but you want to maximize the potential of your metabolism off season to make your dieting phases that much easier. The higher you can bring your metabolism in the off season, the higher your food is going to be able to stay when you diet, because the higher your metabolism is when you start the diet, the more volume of food you're already taking in, which means that 40% drop in volume of food that you had to do before for the cut is going to leave you with a larger overall target set. than prior to where your metabolism was not quite as high, if that makes sense. Because this is a percentages game, the drops are the same, but the overall volumes can actually be increased by having your starting point higher. Well, that's rude. Sorry about that. It was actually our mailing company. We're setting up a whole new distribution service for the Desire clothing line. Quick one to fill in you guys who've been asking when's the new thing. There is going to be an aimed launch end of January this month or the very early beginning of February. We have a whole new load of things coming in. We've got American football jerseys, basketball jerseys, t-shirts, contour fitted jumpers, and a complete tracksuit with hoodie and tapered bottoms, and they are awesome. You'll have seen a little sneak preview of these if you watched the previous videos of me and Lainey in the airport when we were off to Mexico. If you haven't, you can check that one out and they're in there. But all that will be here very soon, but as it comes in, I will let you know more details. Ooh, another announcement. Lainey and myself will be in LA for the LA Fit Expo. We are 100% confirmed, flights are booked, and we will be there for the LA Fit Expo with my protein this time. So we're going to be enjoying some sunshine. We're going to be hitting up Gold's Gym, going to be going trotting down Venice Beach. Hopefully we're going to be meeting up with a couple of other YouTubers and people that you guys recognize. And I love it, man. I love LA. I love everything about it. The atmosphere, the weather, just everything. And so looking forward to IHOP. It's a British thing. For you Americans, you're probably fed up with it, but man, I love that place every time we go. And so that, yes, another exciting thing. So we're starting off the year with an LA trip, which is never a bad thing. We're then also going to be heading out to Melbourne with Gymshark. So we'll see you guys there for the Arnold in Melbourne, which I cannot wait to be at. That was one of my favorite expos last year, alongside the LA one. They were my two favorite. You people were awesome. It was so positive, so motivating. I'm really looking forward to that. And this time as well, we have a couple of days either side. Being in Melbourne, we're going to be there to be able to get some R&R. But then after being in Melbourne, we're going to travel through to Sydney and stay there for a week. So we're going to be taking you guys along for that complete journey, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And for the rest of this video now, obviously, as I said, I'm going to be tracking my weight, telling you what's going on. The training has been explained. Everything's trained twice a week. I have 3 phases. I have the contraction, I have the heavy, and I have the volume. And we're going to be going through everything point by point as and when I change something, so that you can see how I adapt to my body. It is very important to realize that this is an adaptation for my body and how I work, my activity levels, my work life, and so copying my numbers and things like that probably would not work for you. But if you can find your maintenance level, at least you can run alongside me, you can do this alongside me. If you really struggle, guys, with anything like this, then whether it be the macros or the food or the timings or anything like that, and you're really struggling, research it. And if you still can't do it yourself, then I do implore you, just hire a coach, get someone to do the numbers for you. I mean, it's an investment in you at the end of the day. Whoever you choose, just make sure that they're legitimate, they've had proven results, and make sure it's please guys, make sure you're not just buying a meal plan, because you learn nothing from meal plans. You need to know numbers, you need to know targets, you need to know why you are doing something. Without knowing why, it's knowledge that you're not taking away, and the whole purpose of this is to gain knowledge that can never be taken away from you, and that is what will give you control for the rest of your life.